Well, Jack Wong is a great student of ours. He has really been on a phenomenal trajectory as a local speaker, consultant, and coach. His book, Cracking the Entrepreneur Code, 7 Tips to Build the Business You Always Wanted, is a phenomenal book because it's easy to grasp. It's full of worksheets and interesting exercises so that you can learn how to grow any business, but it's in a digestible format. I have been watching Jack throughout the last year or so, watch him speak on programs with big speakers all over the world. He speaks to audiences as large as 5,000 sometimes. He is really, I believe, going to be one of the future superstars in this business. So let's give him a rousing applause, my friend Jack.
Thank you, Gerry. Thank you for a nice introduction.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So, Gerry asked me to speak for 10 to 15 minutes today, which I'm very grateful because very often when people ask you to speak, my first lesson is always to say yes. Because when you say yes, there will be another opportunity coming up. So the moment you say no, guess what will happen? Nothing will happen. So this is my first lesson to learn. So thank you, Gerry, once again for this opportunity. My outcome for this 10 to 15 minutes talk is to share with you my journey as an author, as you can see the title, before and after. So first of all, how many of you would like to become speakers? Thank you, good. Speakers business is not easy. A lot of hard work, a lot of sweat, a lot of pain. So how many of you actually notice that if you have a very strong why, you will know what you want to do? So that's my belief. My belief is I will be able to make a positive difference to other people, and as a result, I'm doing what I'm doing. That is teaching. And the question is, a lot of you might ask, how do I start out with this speaking engagement business? How many of you would like to learn about this history of mine? Thank you. It's a story back in 2000. There was a time when I was working in my accounting firm. That was many years ago, 2000, so it's 15 years ago. And one day I received a call from the training department. They asked, Jack, are you Jack Wong? Yes, I am Jack Wong. I would like you to go to NUS, National University of Singapore, to train 150 people in taxation. Because my background, I'm actually a tax guy. I've been doing tax for 22 years. So a lot of you asking for GST, donation, you can actually ask me because I'm highly qualified on that actually. Okay? So the story was that, okay, Jack, can you go down to train 150 people on tax? I said, no problem, because it's my field. And guess what? When I went down, the training manager said, are you Jack Wong? Yes, I am. But I'm actually looking for the other Jack Wong. And incidentally, in the tax department, there were 2 Jack Wongs. So things goes very interesting. I said, well, so then what? I said, I'm here. Would you want me to talk about it? Okay, since you are here, might as well. And that's how I started my very first 150 people training in tax. And then life never go back. So I've been doing a lot of corporate training, a lot of tax training throughout my career. But what if you find that you've been talking about tax just in schools, in corporations, and it's always Singapore, and you said to yourself, oh my God, how am I going to break this threshold? And I want to grow myself. So a lot of you are here to grow yourself, me too. So I'm back on my personal development journey. And I would like to share with you how and what happened actually. Because I was you in June 2014. I was one of you sitting here. So all of you have written the word the. Me too. So what happened after I've written the word the? So in the next few slides, I'm going to share with you things that happened on me. Now, first of all, I'm not here bragging. I'm not here selling anything. So let me be cautious. I'm just sharing with you what happened on me. So if you feel that it's good for you, it's only because life can happen that way. Only if you believe in yourself. Agree? Yes. So in the next few slides, stay with me. I'm going to show you my interesting journey over the last 12 months. First of all, this is what has happened after my book with the word "the," with the book cover. One, building my brand, building my credibility. Number two, very interesting speaking engagements, which I'm going to show you what happened. I have also very interesting business opportunities. Again, I'll show you what it is. And finally, I've actually done my first workshop way before my book was published. I'm very go-getter. I do this thing called gung-ho. In other words, I just do it and reflect. That's me. Number one, somehow I was asked to do Malaysian GST. For the very first time in my life, I was asked to do Malaysian GST in Kuala Lumpur. So that was in August last year. First time in my life doing Malaysian GST training. Very interesting, first time in my life. Then, October, I did an investment workshop in Singapore and shared with 200 people about my investment journey. Okay, that's fine, because I've been doing this for a very long time. But then interesting thing happens. December 2014, I was speaking to a group of people to tell them or to inspire them the need of getting tax experts to solve the tax issues. So that was the training I did, 200 people. At one time I asked myself, if I have been speaking to hundreds of people, as a speaker you may want to have this question in your mind. So how do I take my speaking engagement to the next level? So I did a lot of things called visualization, goal setting. I said to myself in 2008, one day I will speak to thousands of people. So I had this goal in my mind, and it has been achieved this year. So let's see what happened next. I did a very interesting business engagement with one of my business partners. It's something new, because I've been in speaking business for so long, and I wanted to do something called speakers training. So in Jan this year, I created this new business with my partner on how to train other speakers. There's new business opportunity. In February this year, I was asked by Mr. Chuck Mellon. Some of you know who Chuck Mellon is. He's actually Tony Robbins' investment mastery right-hand man. So actually Chuck Mellon asked me to go to Bangkok to do a training for him. I said, why not? Chuck Mellon, Tony Robbins, good association. So I did a talk 3 hours. I fly to Bangkok, speaking to a group of people on investment. March this year, I did another speakers training in Kuala Lumpur. Life is getting better and better. This is called hiccup. When things happen that way, don't worry, things will happen. Okay. Speakers training in Kuala Lumpur, March 2015. Next. This is my first workshop. If you are in Singapore, you might recall when was the funeral of Mr. Lee Kuan Yew. I did my workshop without knowing his passing. That was 20th of March. So you can expect that on that day, there will be quite a number of people going to Padang instead of my workshop. So good news is, I still had 22 people showing up. That was a good thing, at least from a saving grace. I did my first workshop. Then that was the time before I even got my book out. Because my book actually came out in April. So I did my first workshop on that. This is the one where Gerry asked me to speak. This is something that Gerry talked about in terms of sharing the stage with Tony Robbins, because that is the famous Total Success Workshop. So I can now tell people that I share the stage with Mr. Tony Robbins. And this is the crowd of 6,000 people. So I broke my record. Who are these people? Can you tell where they are from? Japan. So I went to Japan, Tokyo. I did a business workshop, and I asked them, could you do me a favor? I'm going to pass you the books as a business class, but I want you to take a picture. So that I got this picture, all of them holding my book. Remember, every moment is marketing and branding opportunity. That's the #1 lesson that I learned in entrepreneurship. But that's not the end of the story. They're so hardcore, follow me all the way down to the training room. And this is outside the training room, they asked me to sign the book, so they're busy asking me to autograph my books. Some of them are very happy. It's like, this is the Japanese. So I learned Japanese cultures. If they like you, they will follow you. Okay? So then what happened? June, I went to North Carolina, United States. The story I learned from there was, people very often in a networking meeting will ask you, so Jack, what do you do? So I say nothing. I'm just carrying 20 books with me, silent salesman. I said, I just did that. I didn't do anything. I just hand the book. Wow, you're an author. Let me see. So, can I have your book? Yes. Branding opportunity, please. So everyone is required to take a picture. So you may see that I'm not actually selling my book in this kind of networking meeting, but I'm using this as a moment of marketing opportunity. And at that point, I can tell the world, and which I put it down on my Facebook, saying that my book has finally reached North America. Okay, things are getting better and better. Gerry talked about sharing the stage on National Achiever Congress, so I did that in June. I finally was on NAC stage. Okay, so this is one. And this is the Singapore stage. Okay, so I got NAC, both KL and Singapore done. Finally, media release. This is the top 30 Asian financial experts. Johan, you see yourself?
Yeah.
We are somehow put together. So we are regarded as the top 30 financial experts, and we were asked to give what is the best investment advice that we can share with the other people. So the rest of them you can figure out who they are. Some of them you know them very well. Okay? So I did a series of entrepreneurship tax presentation workshop. This was in July this year. And how many of you realize that there is a similar logo? Okay, good. I'm not saying anything else. Then, this is the Kuala Lumpur. If you want to know the story about this, I lost my passport for the first time in my life. The Singapore government actually gave me the passport in 2 hours. Wow. We call it temporary travel document. So I did whatever it takes. And one thing I learned in speaker's business, if there's a speaking opportunity, you must do whatever it takes to make it happen. So I get the passport at 11 o'clock. I fly to Kuala Lumpur. I did my training at 5:08. I finished my training at 6:25. I closed people. I think the closing rate at that time was 17 people out of 70 people in the room say yes to my offer. So that was like the result of do whatever it takes. I then did another one test, entrepreneurship test workshop. This is in Singapore, August 2015. There was about 200 people, and Richard Tan was there watching me. So at this point in time, up to August, I said, well, I got speaking engagement in Northeast Asia. I've got speaking engagement in Australia, because I did speak before Australia, and then North America, and of course, here, Southeast Asia. So the question I have is always, how do I break my boundary to other places? Like Success Resources is now operating in so many countries, so I have in my mind this vision. How would my business be like them? So I said, well, what is my next place? Dun dun. This is Africa. So how many of you are afraid of Africa? In other words, a lot of you might have heard a story like, oh, and South African, very dangerous. Because they hold rifle, they can shoot you. The lion can eat you. And I was so worried about the lions. But I gave a low five with my new friend, the cub. How do you know? The evidence is there. In Singapore, you know that you can only see the lion far away. You cannot touch them. At least I did that in my life. Okay, so that's the story of my South African trip. So there were 2,000 people there. For the first time in my life, I was speaking in South Africa, Johannesburg. And the good news is that they're so inspired, because it's not I inspired them, it's that they told me that I inspired them. So I don't know what I've done to inspire them, but they say I inspired them. So as a result, this is what happened. I was very, very busy with signing my books. And my book, Cracking the Entrepreneur Code, finally has reached South Africa. And guess what? Again, I'm using this as an opportunity to promote myself with the book. And in less than 2 hours, I only had 60 books. They were all sold out. They were distributed out rather. And at the same time, till now, last night, there were South African students asking me, Jack, where can I get your book? I said my book is now available on Kindle. So if you like, you can go to Kindle and buy it. But otherwise, I don't know how I'm going to give you the book. I've got Oscar, who is a coach, a very famous coach in South Africa. Jack, I want to do business with you, but let's exchange the books. And more importantly, let's do video testimonials to each other so that we can help each other promote each other. So I've got a very interesting opportunity to work with Coach Oscar and got his book, which is a very good book. He's a very famous business coach in South Africa. Last day of my South African trip, I was visiting Union Building, and somehow a guy came to me and said, "Can I check with you whether you're from South Africa?" I said, "Of course not, I'm yellow skin." Then I said, "Well, you know what? I want to interview you. Because this is in celebration of this thing called the Heritage Month and the Tourism Month. And I want to interview you by asking you this question. What do you think the South Africans have to do in order to make the country a stronger country, a better country?" So that is my first trip to South Africa. On the last day of my trip, I've got this media interview. It's an interview in South Africa for the first time. So what I'm telling you all this is, all the things happens is because I say yes to that decision, and life has never been the same since then. The first one is that realize, hopefully I inspire some of you, how this book, how the book helped me become a more practical person as an entrepreneur. And once again, thank you, Gerry, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Great job. Wow, you have been busy, man. That's great. Great job, man. Let's give him a hand again, everybody. Thanks.